they'll lynch you. But he did, and he laughs.
Hello, West Ham Network. It's Holly. I am here with your West Ham Daily, chatting about some of the biggest topics. I'm finally back and just about recovered from the most incredible week in Prague. I don't think I will ever quite get my head around what we've actually managed to do, but what an achievement. What a time. I think wherever anyone was celebrating, you could see how much it meant and how incredible it was to everyone. I'm definitely lucky I didn't have a camera on me at the time that we won or scored, because like Ross and Anton, my reaction was exactly the same as theirs. I bawled my eyes out and it probably wouldn't have been a very pretty sight. So as you probably expected, let's get on with our daily. There is a lot of transfer talk, as we probably knew there would be. So let's chat about what is going on. So first up, Smith Rowe is being spoken about as a potential player that West Ham could sign as part of the Declan Rice deal. Smith Rowe has been rated highly by Arsenal fans. Arteta once called him an incredible talent, if that means a lot to you. He is a good attacking midfielder. In my opinion, I'm not entirely sure where he fits. He's done well, but he's also had quite a lot of injuries in the past, which does concern me, especially seeing as he's only 22. So this should be when he's at his least injury prone. And we know what we're like. We're signing injury prone players at West Ham, so we ideally don't want too many of them. And I'd also prefer to actually use the money from a Rice selling, for example, to spend in positions that we definitely need. So for me, it would be like a defensive midfielder, a winger, potentially a striker, centre back, rather than a swap with a player that might not be the perfect fit for us. But definitely an interesting one to look at. He's definitely not a bad player. I just think that we need to make signings now that are the exact kind of player that we need for an exact kind of position, rather than just taking a good name and going, oh, that's a decent swap, and then working out how they kind of fit into our team, because we obviously struggled with signing players in the past that don't necessarily fit into the structure of how we want to play. And we've now reverted back almost to how we were playing the previous season, because we've realised that that wasn't working, trying to change it so much. So yeah, I think it's very important that we actually sign players that are going to be the exact kind of player that we need. And you look at managers like Pep Guardiola, where he'll sign a player. So I'm going off on a bit of a tangent now. He'll sign a player based on attributes that they have, and then he'll train them to kind of work exactly how he needs within that team, rather than just going, let's just get in a winger that is a good winger, but then they're not one that likes to cut back or defend, and then you realise that that's a problem. So I think we should definitely be careful with a swap deal, unless it's someone that we are genuinely interested in and we genuinely want to spend the sum of money that it takes off the actual overall value of the Rice deal, for example, and make sure that it's someone that we want, that we would pay that money for either way, even if it wasn't part of a swap deal. So up second, James Ward-Prowse, interest continues. Apparently, we've inquired about his price tag, and it doesn't come as a surprise that we would be one of many clubs looking to sign him, with the likes of Wolves, Newcastle and Villa being reportedly interested. Liverpool were in that list, but it looks as though they might have discontinued their interest and they might be looking at different targets now, which is interesting. Obviously, would make it a little bit easier for us to sign him should they not be in the race, but I think others will probably come in for him. James Ward-Prowse would definitely be an interesting signing for West Ham. We would need a holding midfielder, especially if he's to be partnered with Souček and Paqueta. So this would be a slightly more attacking option than sort of the typical holding midfielder, should we be hoping to obviously keep Souček and Paqueta playing in the same ways that they are. But obviously, James Ward-Prowse, we all know that his set pieces would bring a lot to our game. So last season, I think one of the biggest differences compared to the previous season was that we actually lost our ability to score from a set piece, and mainly because we weren't beating the first man on corners. We couldn't find our players in the box from a free kick. And James Ward-Prowse could potentially help that. Obviously, we've seen his abilities, and we've seen back in the day when we had a Payet that could score from a free kick, James Ward-Prowse would obviously bring that. So he could be a very interesting signing. Do you think James Ward-Prowse could be the answer? Let us know what you think in the comments. But he's certainly one that I think could be very interesting. I am just slightly concerned about having not seen so much of the defensive side of his game. But then again, that's definitely something that people can improve on. And he does look as though the attacking side, he has got down. And it would help us score a lot more goals because we do have players that can get on the end of those balls. It's just that we can't get the ball to them very well at the moment. In fact, we did pick it up towards the end of last season, but yeah, most of the season we struggled massively. Where corners used to be our strength, and I'd be like, can we score from this? Not beating that first man, can't be doing that. So James Ward-Prowse could definitely solve that. So the third story today, Rice's transfer battle, surprise. Another story that's being covered a lot is obviously Rice's transfer. It's attracting a lot of attention. And the good news is the price that clubs are willing to offer looks as though it might be gradually increasing. So it's been reported that Arsenal wanted to pay around the 90 million mark or do a partial swap deal, which means that for us to make that work, I think that's going to be quite a lengthy negotiation, and it's not going to be something that we just jump at, which I think is right. We definitely should not jump at an early offer. However, the club still seems set on getting at least 100 mil plus add-ons if the reports are to be believed. However, Chelsea are said to now be willing to go above or beyond 100 million, which would no doubt push Arsenal's offer up if they're as interested as they say. And I wouldn't really be surprised to see plenty more clubs come in for him before the end of the transfer window, because as we know, Declan Rice is rather good. And it looks as though he wants to go to a good team and stay there for a while. So I wouldn't be surprised if others did come in for him. I don't think we should cave at first offers because we know, first of all, how valuable Rice is. You don't get players like this often at West Ham, where you have the likes of 100 million being spoken about for a player, which, as sad as it will be to see him go, it's a lot of money to reinvest. Adding that onto an existing transfer budget is huge. If you spend that right and strategically, you can do massive things with that. And that could literally bring us back to where we were last season or above that. And obviously buying more good players would attract more good players. So there are many, many benefits of this. And we don't have to rush to get rid of Rice. I know it sounds like there's been an agreement made where if he wants to leave, this summer is when it will happen. But should nobody actually offer what we're saying he's worth, we don't have to physically get rid of him. And if he is being undervalued, it is up to the other clubs as well to put solid offers in that actually reflect what he's worth. And whatever we do get from Rice, it has to be enough for us to reinvest and spend to strengthen our squad overall. And the other part of that is that it also needs to be a club where Rice can actually win silverware. So the whole point is that he wants to leave to go and do great things. But when you actually look around, you realise it's not guaranteed with many English clubs at all. So it's not just a matter of selling him to the highest bidder if Rice doesn't want to go there. So for example, Chelsea coming in and offering more sounds okay. However, they finished 12th in the league. And what kind of guarantee does that give to Rice that he could win silverware there when it looks as though things are going pretty stagnant at Chelsea? So there's a lot to be thought about in terms of the money that we should accept, the clubs that Rice might actually want to go to. I know that I would definitely prefer to see him not go to a London rival or even a Premier League team if possible. Does Rice want to stay in the UK? He's got a kid. Like, there's a lot to consider. But yeah, so it's all going on. But I really, really am set that we need to make sure that this deal is right for the club and for Rice, rather than just going, 100 mil, go on then, take him. Because I think, first of all, we could make a massive mistake in that we do a swap deal for someone that the player's not that good, and then we end up with like 40, 50 mil to spend. And that isn't that much to get like a game-changing player. We're losing a game-changing player with Rice. I'm going on loads of rants there, aren't I? We're losing a game-changing player with Rice. I don't think we're going to be able to replace him with a game-changing player because, again, you'd be spending 100 plus mil to replace him with a midfielder that can do what he can do. However, what we could do is change our game by investing around that position so that overall our squad is strengthened and we're not relying on the likes of a Rice to save us all the time with these last-ditch tackles and running through and getting however many goals a season. Because if we can improve enough players around that position, I think we'll be just fine. So yeah, we need to be careful. That's my thought. So anyway, that is everything for today's West Ham Daily. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know how you're feeling about the Rice situation, the signings conversations, everything that's going on, because let's face it, there's quite a lot going on at the moment. Let us know anyway in the comments. If you've not already subscribed, make sure you do. Turn those notifications on as well so you never have to miss a video. Have a great day, and until next time, come on, you eyes.